Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Customs and Border Protection once again closed the PedWest Pedestrian Crossing in San Ysidro today. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabolsi. KPBS border reporter Gustavo Solis says the closure disrupted morning commutes and threatens the local economy.
No, I didn't know it was going to be closed. I was waiting on my son to come out.
Gloria Brown was supposed to pick up her son Thursday morning on the San Diego side of the PedWest border crossing. The closure forced her son to use another crossing in San Ysidro, where wait times can be 4 hours long.
I got to go over to the east side and pick him up, and he doesn't have a phone.
Apart from disrupting morning commutes, business experts fear that the closure could also impact the regional economy.
We're hugely disappointed to hear this news.
Kenya Samarripa is with the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. She says the closure could impact jobs, tax revenues, and economic development.
We can talk numbers, but it's a huge setback, and it's honestly not only a challenge, but it's a threat to our economy.
In a statement, Customs and Border Protection said that they hope to reopen PedWest as soon as possible, but offered no timeline. CBP said the closure is connected to an influx of migrants and asylum seekers. Many are being held in a makeshift camp between the primary and secondary border walls. However, the agency didn't close PedWest during a similar surge in migration earlier this year. Asylum seekers crossing into the U.S. for the first time Thursday morning were grateful for the opportunity. Juan Eloy Diaz de Arma is from Cuba. Diaz de Arma says that he's happy to finally be in the U.S. and plans to join relatives in Miami. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
Customs and Border Protection has been dropping groups of asylum seekers off at the Oceanside Transit Center. One group was dropped off yesterday and another today. The migrants came from countries all over the world and many didn't know where they were. This Colombian couple got reunited at the Oceanside station after being held in different CBP facilities, and they didn't want to share their names.
Una felicidad que uno ni siquiera uno es capaz de expresar lo que se siente, una felicidad muy grande.
Tranquilidad, se siente mucha tranquilidad.
They said that they're grateful to be together and in the U.S. Local organizations were informed of the drop-offs ahead of time and helped migrants with resources like food and water, clothes, and power to charge their phones. They were also helping them coordinate travel arrangements to their sponsors. CBP said the drop-offs are a standard process to quickly decompress the areas along the southwest border. The Border Patrol is not saying how many people they're transporting or where they first crossed the border. Supervisor Jim Desmonds, whose district covers much of North County, is not happy with the federal government dropping off more migrants at local transit stations. He says 500 people are among the latest to be left with few resources. Part of a statement issued by Supervisor Desmonds reads, "This isn't humane. This isn't compassionate. The federal government is failing in its obligation to protect the people of San Diego County. This system is broken and puts our region at risk. If the federal government wants to process asylum seekers, it must provide adequate resources to manage people entering our area." Mexico is back on the list of countries that meet the highest safety standards for air travel. The FAA made the announcement today after a 2-year-long moratorium on new service and routes to U.S. airports. The FAA downgraded Mexico's International Aviation Safety Assessment rating to Category 2 in May of 2021. That's after finding the country did not meet International Civil Aviation Organization safety standards. Hurricane Lee, currently a Category 1 storm, is churning past Bermuda and tracking just east off of New England shores. Laura Aguirre has the latest on how residents are prepping for a stormy few days.
Ben Franklin said, If you fail to plan, you have planned to fail.
That message reverberating among emergency planners along the northern U.S. East Coast Thursday.
Even if it's not a direct hit, are we going to experience tropical storm force winds?
Hurricane Lee is churning past Bermuda and could weaken as it travels north. Still, forecasters predict it will bring high winds, heavy rain, and coastal flooding as it barrels near or over Maine by Saturday. Storm surge alerts up to 3 feet stretch along much of New England's coast, even higher in places like Cape Cod and Nantucket, Massachusetts. Many residents say they'll ride it out.
You get to the point where you question, like, how much more can it take? But, you know, we've built it back up each time.
In Saco Bay, Maine, an Army Corps of Engineers Jetty Spur project would help reduce storm impacts and erosion. Congress has approved it, but hasn't authorized federal funds to be spent yet.
Because they haven't done anything, we're defenseless.
Some towns are taking before pictures of their coastal areas.
Being able to document what the property looked like pre-storm versus post-storm is really helpful if you have to kind of put in any type of an insurance claim.
As of Thursday, hurricane force winds stretched nearly 100 miles from Lee's center. Even at sea, this storm packs a punch. I'm Laura Aguirre for KPBS News.
I'm Ariella Scalise, and we continue to watch our temperature roller coaster of cooling, warming, cooling again, plus a few low clouds to start the next several mornings and nights, and even a little bit of rough surf we'll talk about. Closer look at the forecast is coming up.
San Diego state and county officials are investigating a potential exposure to tuberculosis on campus. The university notified students, staff, and faculty of a confirmed case of TB in an email today. Officials say the potential exposure happened between February 22nd and June 22nd of this year, primarily at the Charles B. Bell Jr. Pavilion. No classrooms were impacted. Thus far, the only confirmed case involves an employee who no longer works at the university. The CDC says U.S. hospitals can expect the burden from this year's respiratory virus season to be similar to last year's, but the CDC says with the addition of COVID, even an average respiratory season can place significant strain on the healthcare system. The analysis finds at the peak of the season, there could be between 15 and 25 new weekly hospitalizations for every 100,000 people in the U.S. COVID will probably account for half of those new hospitalizations. A California appeals court has agreed to hear a challenge to the state's recently adopted solar rules. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson has details.
San Diego's Protect Our Communities Foundation is one of 3 groups which asked the First District Court of Appeal in San Francisco to intervene. The groups argued the new rules do not recognize all the benefits of solar, do not encourage solar adoption, and do not expand solar in disadvantaged communities. The legal petition asks the court to throw out the decision.
I have seen these orders come out with summary denials. One sentence, the court declines to hear the case. And that's not what happened here. The court has decided to hear the case, and the court will review the commission's net energy metering decision and determine whether it was lawful, which is very exciting for us.
The California Public Utilities Commission voted unanimously last December to approve the new rules. They took effect in April. The rules slash the value of solar-generated electricity when homeowners sell it back to the grid. It also imposed a monthly fee of $15 for new rooftop solar systems. It's unclear when the court will take up the issue. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
KPBS reached out to the California Public Utilities Commission, and they pointed to their legal filing against the court to deny the petitioner's request.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, the latest on the indictment of Hunter Biden on federal gun charges. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Some California parents are at odds with their school district over a controversial gender identity policy. The Chino Valley Unified School District passed a rule requiring schools to notify parents if their child requests to change their gender identity or their pronouns. A judge temporarily blocked that decision. Camila Bernal has details.
My oldest, Peyton, and then Madison.
6 children. All have attended the Chino Valley Unified School District in Southern California.
How's school?
Good. Good. Mom, Misty Startup, now goes to every single school board meeting. Many getting extremely contentious and even violent. The issue at the center of the fight, a transgender notification policy requiring schools to notify parents if children change their gender identification or pronouns.
If we're keeping this from parents, what else is going to be kept from us?
Those fighting for this policy say school employees in California have helped children socially transition without telling the parents. They became the first in the state to pass a policy at the local level.
I'm a yes, the motion passes.
But parents and advocates on the other side of the issue say the communication already existed. Christy Hurst is a mom of 3, a former teacher, and the co-founder of a nonprofit helping parents fight against issues like the transgender notification policy.
It assumes that teachers are trying to keep secrets from parents, which is not true, and it promotes an atmosphere of distrust between the school and families.
After Chino, 5 other school districts in California have followed suit. To stop the trend, the California Attorney General filed a lawsuit against Chino Valley. And this week, a judge agreed, issuing a temporary restraining order.
You cannot target, single out, discriminate against, and violate the privacy rights of students. That's exactly what this policy does.
The Chino Valley School Board President, Sonia Shaw, says they were disappointed but not surprised by the ruling.
We know that we're not going to win it here in California because who is elected and who is appointed here in California. But we know at the federal government level, we can win this.
Both sides say this is not just happening in California.
There have been over 200 laws in over 40 states introduced to strip away and hurt and discriminate against the LGBTQ community and to take away their rights.
All in favor?
Aye. And as the legal fights play out in California and across the country, an agreement between the parents seems unlikely.
I think the middle ground already existed, and they have been manipulated to think it didn't.
As long as this is an issue and they're trying to break up families, I'm in this fight. We don't co-parent with the government.
Camila Bernal reporting. The next hearing on the issue is scheduled for October 13th. The nation's 3 biggest automakers have until midnight to reach a deal with United Auto Workers Union. These strikes could cost the industry billions of dollars and could create a domino effect for hundreds of local communities. Gloria Pazmino reports.
We are preparing to strike these companies in a way they've never seen before.
Ready for the picket line. Thousands of U.S. auto workers could walk off the job Friday at midnight, launching a series of targeted strikes at individual plants run by some of the nation's largest automakers. Known as the Big Three, General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis are facing ambitious demands from the United Auto Workers Union. The list includes an immediate 20% raise in hourly pay, followed by 4 additional raises of 5% over 4 years. They also want retiree health care coverage and job protections. One worker says the toll of factory work is something you can't measure in dollars.
We wear our bodies out for these companies, and it's just part of our story, but we deserve to be compensated.
Company execs say they're negotiating in good faith.
We made our first offer almost 2 weeks ago to the UAW. We've made 3 offers since then, and we've had no genuine counteroffer on any of those.
As the deadline quickly approaches, hope for a deal is dwindling.
They spent more money enriching shareholders in a year than they spent on us in the entirety of the last contract cycle. They want to scare the American people into thinking the auto workers are the problem. We're not the problem.
Gloria Pazmino, KPBS News.
With the United Auto Workers strike looming, one question you may be asking if you're in the market for a new car, is this the right time to buy? According to Edmunds, industry analysts say it comes down to inventory. It just depends on what you're buying.
There's still a shortage in the most popular models, and those are the people
and places that we're really going to feel it the most. Brands like the Stellantis brands, the Dodges, the Jeeps, and the Ram trucks, there's plenty of supply.
Analysts say if you're willing to be flexible, you will have options. But if you're picky about the car you want, you may want to wait to buy until the potential strike is over. For this time this year, oil prices have hit the $90 per barrel mark. It's because Saudi Arabia and Russia surprised the market last week by extending supply cuts through the end of the year. Also, catastrophic flooding hit Libya, leading to supply disruptions there. Right now in San Diego County, it costs nearly $5.60 on average for a gallon of gas. An administrative law judge is mulling over proposals that would dramatically change the way California residents pay for electricity. KPBS environment reporter Eric Anderson says an unavoidable monthly fee and lower per kilowatt rates are likely coming, but the details are still being sorted out.
A change in the state's utility code directs regulators to create a monthly flat fee based on income for most of the state's residents. The range in the 9 official proposals is huge, from about $10 a month to more than $150 a month. Utilities have never based flat fees on income, and most proposals ask for large monthly fees.
Even having $20 a month as a fixed charge is very, very rare. Most of them are under $15. The national average is around $11, based on a sample of 173 investor-owned utilities across the U.S.
The state's 3 large investor-owned utilities, which include San Diego Gas and Electric, offered a joint proposal that covers about 80% of the state's residents. SDG&E asked for unavoidable monthly fees ranging from $24 to $128, depending on income. SDG&E says the proposal cuts the per kilowatt hour cost by about 40%.
This is not a rate increase, and we're also not asking to collect any more money from our residential customers, and SDG&E is not going to make one single penny more as part of this proposal.
But SDG&E recaptures revenue from about 20% of its customers who have rooftop solar. The utility says that money will be used to push down the cost of a kilowatt hour, the volumetric rate.
But even, solar customers, they're still going to save more compared to not having solar on the roof. So we think that there's still a lot of value there.
The Sierra Club has long opposed flat utility fees because they hurt poor customers. But the group's position has changed. Their plan's average monthly rates are less than $40, but the charge for high-income customers is more than $140 a month. The Sierra Club sees a chance to make the burden of electrification more equitable.
Electrification and affordability, that's the promise of an income-based fixed charge, while also preserving the existing incentives in volumetric rates to conserve energy, pursue energy efficiency measures, and install distributed energy resources, such as rooftop solar and battery.
The California Environmental Justice Alliance, a joint proposal from the Utility Reform Network and Natural Resources Defense Council, and one from the California Public Advocate's Office, fall in the middle range. Average flat fees that are between $20 and $40, and flat fees for the highest income brackets ranging from $40 to $80. The per kilowatt rates only go down a little bit.
We made a modest proposal to the Public Utilities Commission on both how high the fee is, the spreads between the income groups, and then how we would verify the income.
Baker says there is pressure to make it easier to electrify the state's economy, and lower fees and per kilowatt rates can do that.
We got to address the ability to electrify, which really depends on the per unit price of electricity. And we're starting to get to the point where it is becoming uneconomical to certainly electrify your house. At some point, it'll be uneconomical to electrify your car. And so we really need to get a handle on that so that we can electrify our economy and address our climate goals.
The proposal for the smallest flat fee comes from the Solar Energy Industry Association. Their proposal suggests fees fall right around $10 a month, with small reductions in the volumetric rate. They argue that small fees are the right place to start because costs will only go up.
The volumetric rates are going to come down in a one-time fashion, and then they're going to tick back up, and the fixed fees are going to tick up, and consumers are going to lose really their ability to control their monthly energy bills.
The administrative law judge will design a final proposal from these recommendations. It can be outright adoption of one plan, a blend of several ideas, or a plan that includes elements from all. A proposed decision is expected next spring, with state rules calling for a final ruling by next summer. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Let's take a look at our weather headlines here as we track our temperatures gradually warming, cooling, warming again. So a bit of a roller coaster ride here. We've been watching that marine layers of some night and morning coastal low clouds and then some rough surf and rip currents. Heads up if you have any beach plans, as the water could be a bit rough. As we head into tonight, temperatures dropping into the 60s for Oceanside, San Diego 67, and Chula Vista. You'll see your temperatures dropping into the low 60s. Borrego Springs down to 71, and Mount Laguna, your temperatures dropping into the upper 50s. Heading into the day tomorrow, we start to warm up a bit more as we head into our Friday, but high pressure is keeping us dry. Any thunderstorms are going to stay well to the east. Denver down to Albuquerque could be dealing with a few thunderstorms, but things looking good here in and around San Diego to wrap up the week. Temperature-wise, we can see temperatures a little bit warmer. Look at Borrego Springs back to 99 degrees. Mount Laguna 66, Chula Vista 76. Into San Diego on Friday 74. In Oceanside, you'll get up to 77 as we do wrap up the week. Well, the weekend could show a little bit of cooler conditions at the coast farther north into California. Meanwhile, things pretty close to the historical average for us as we head into the day on Saturday. And more of the warmth starts to move into Nevada, into Utah, and into Arizona as we head into the day on Saturday. Let's take you through the next couple of days along the coast as temperatures will hang out to the upper 70s Friday and Saturday, and a slight drop in temperatures back to 76 Sunday into Tuesday. Further inland, we'll see temperatures fluctuating a bit. 80 degrees on Friday for the peak of the heat, and then we'll slowly start to see temperatures drop a few degrees Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday looks like the coolest of the next 5 days at 76. Into the mountains we go, where temperatures will be dipping as we head into the weekend from 66 on Friday to 61 on Saturday, and then back to the lower 60s as we head into the second half of the weekend and the start of next week. And into the mountains, temperatures will be dropping on Saturday, climbing again Sunday, and then dropping on Monday. For KPBS News, I'm Ariella Scalise.
This weekend, you can choose between The Liberace of Luchador or Agatha Christie's Persnickety French Detective at the cinema. And here to help you decide is KPBS Cinema Junkie Beth Accomando.
In Mexican wrestling, an exotico is a luchador who cross-dresses or assumes feminine characteristics that can challenge the machismo of the sport and the culture. In the 1980s, exoticos were often campy.
You ever thought about being an exotico?
No. No, they don't let exoticos win. No.
But the openly gay Saul Armendariz decided to flip the script. He challenged the conventions of what exoticos could be when he took on the wrestling persona of Cassandro and did not want to merely be the comic relief that always had to lose. In this biopic, Cassandro, Saul is played by the dazzling Gael Garcia Bernal. He captures Cassandro's bravado as a wrestler while revealing a more vulnerable nature outside the ring. The film offers an inspiring story of hard-fought success, but one also tinged with bittersweet emotions. With A Haunting in Venice, Kenneth Branagh returns for the third time to play Agatha Christie's famous French detective, Hercule Poirot. This time around, the case he's thrown into involves a grieving mother's attempt to hold a seance to communicate with her dead daughter.
Alicia.
But, as you'd expect, things take a nasty turn. The old house is not the only creaky thing in this formulaic mystery. A Haunting in Venice is not a badly made film. The cast is more than capable, the Venice locale is gorgeous, and the film is attractively shot in a creepy mansion. But it lacks a certain je ne sais quoi. It has the trappings of a stylish mystery, but just feels hollow inside. Branagh, who also directs, steers these Agatha Christie adaptations more towards serious drama than lighthearted sleuthing. And that's a miscalculation that keeps the audience from having fun.
But I have seen too much of the world. Countless crimes, 2 wars, the bitter evil of human indifference, and I conclude, no. No God, no ghosts. With respect, no mediums who can speak to them.
Granez Poirot is a bit too dry and uptight to engage or charm us. Michelle Yeoh as the medium is a delight, but she's entirely underused.
You were saying?
For a mystery, A Haunting in Venice delivers no real surprises. But if the comfort of a glossy formula is what you seek, then this will do. This weekend, you can also find Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers back on the big screen in its extended format. As Digital Jim returns to Middle-earth to celebrate Peter Jackson's acclaimed trilogy. So there are many diverse choices to tempt you back into a cinema this weekend. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. NPR's Morning Edition is talking about UFOs and a recent report by NASA on the growing national discussion about whether we're alone in the universe. And KPBS Roundtable is talking about the health of the U.S. democracy. It's part of our ongoing coverage for tomorrow's International Day of Democracy. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.